They called it Planet 10, but only for 6 days. Before that, it had no name, no designation, just a faint gravitational anomaly, tugging on the outermost objects of our solar system. Dwarf planets, icy asteroids, the long-forgotten debris of a place humans had never truly seen. It was Dr. Lena Corwin, a quiet astronomer at the Cerro Parinal Observatory in Chile, who first noticed the irregularities. She wasn't looking for a planet, just trying to trace orbital drift in Kuiper Belt objects. But the numbers didn't lie. Something massive was out there. Something that shouldn't exist. Not beyond Neptune. Not that far out. She submitted a preprint. No press release. No media hype. Just raw data, clear gravitational signatures pointing to a body at least twice the size of Earth, orbiting far beyond Pluto in a highly elliptical path. Her colleagues laughed until the images arrived. The first photos were grainy, indistinct, but unmistakable. A dark sphere, faintly reflecting sunlight, moving slowly across the stars in a pattern no comet or rock could match. Within hours, telescopes across the globe redirected their gaze. The headlines the next morning read, "10th planet confirmed. Hidden giant beyond Pluto stuns scientists." Twitter exploded. Reddit lit up. Think pieces flooded the web. Planet 10 became a household term. The public called it Emer, after the Norse primordial being buried beneath ice. Astronomers cautiously marked its predicted trajectory, estimating its next perihelion in 2347. But on the 7th day, something went wrong. The images vanished. Not scrubbed, not censored, erased. From the databases, from the archives, from the original servers. When Dr. Corwin logged into her observatory's cloud storage, the folder labeled PTX 010 was gone, replaced by a generic system message. File path not recognized. Her hard drives wouldn't boot. Her paper draft, still under peer review, was no longer listed on the journal's site. Her submission history had been wiped clean. At first, she thought it was a system error, until she realized that no one remembered. Not her peers. Not the other scientists who'd verified her math. Not the intern who had helped her run orbital models. Not even her assistant, who had posted the original findings to social media. She showed them screenshots. They looked confused. "We never saw those images," one of them said. "Are you sure this isn't a simulation?" Lena didn't sleep that night. She went deeper, downloaded telescope logs, recovered residual magnetometer readings. And there it was, barely clinging to the edge of deletion. A log entry timestamped 6 days prior. Confirmed detection of object Y, PTX 010 at RA 3 hours 27 minutes and 44 seconds, dec minus 12 degrees 15 feet 18 inches. Magnitude plus 21.13. Albedo consistent with icy planetary body. Orbit irregular. Data to be reviewed. She printed it. 2 hours later, her printer caught fire. By day 8, every institution that had recorded Planet 10 had recalibrated their logs. Minor orbital drift in the Kuiper Belt, now attributed to data noise. Sunspot interference. Bad readings. And Lena? She wasn't just ignored. She was unlisted. Her email account returned errors. Her staff ID stopped working. The university website no longer mentioned her name. Her academic history, her entire body of work, had been replaced with a single sentence: "No records found." She reached out to a journalist, a skeptic named Jordan Keene, known for shredding bad science with ruthless precision. He agreed to meet. They sat in a corner booth at a diner off the highway, Lena sliding across her last working flash drive. Jordan plugged it into his tablet, skeptical. Then he stopped breathing, because on that drive was a backup copy of one image. Just one. A telescopic capture, faint, distant, pixelated, but undeniable. A planetary body orbiting far beyond Pluto, backlit by the sun's farthest rays. Cold, silent, massive. He blinked. Why hasn't anyone? The tablet screen blacked out. Seconds later, it rebooted. Empty. The image file was gone. Jordan looked at Lena. His hands were shaking. "Where is this thing now?" he asked. She hesitated. "It's not about where," she whispered. "It's about when." They checked again the next morning. Jordan brought a new tablet. No cloud sync. No wireless chip. Just local memory, old school. Lena had backed up a different file this time. An unprocessed data packet from Cerro Paranal's backup server. Just spectrometer logs, harmless on the surface. Until Jordan decrypted them. There was again the same orbital object, slightly shifted. A day older, but the readings were clear. Planet 10 had mass. It reflected sunlight. It distorted nearby debris orbits. It existed. And yet, when they tried to verify the coordinates through a public telescope interface, nothing. Just deep black sky. No star, no object, no noise. As if the patch of space had been cut out with surgical precision. "Maybe we're seeing interference," Jordan said, trying to sound logical. But Lena shook her head. "It's not interference. It's selective erasure." They cross-referenced star maps, old and new, from the Hubble archive. From pre-digital star charts dating back to 1890. In two of them, a small anomaly appeared, a faint just beyond Pluto. Unmarked, unnamed. Then Lena found a third source. And that changed everything. It was buried in a scanned copy of De Systemate Mundi, a long-dismissed 18th century manuscript by a forgotten German astronomer named Albrecht Moors. It described a wandering star that the sky does not like to hold, located in roughly the same portion of the sky. The language was cryptic. It swims behind the others, resisting record. Each time it is found, the sky breaks its own script. Further down the page, scrawled in handwritten Latin, a warning. It is not of this time. The more we see it, the faster it forgets us. Jordan stared at the passage. It forgets us? Lena said nothing, because she was already thinking about her dreams. They'd started the night after the first signal vanished. Cold dreams, dark skies, stars spiraling backward like a film on rewind. And in the center, the planet. But it wasn't a planet anymore. It was a mirror. And inside it, she saw herself, watching from a window as something vast and patient drifted closer. Not a ship, not a creature. A kind of gravitational hunger shaped like memory. It didn't want to be seen. It wanted to be noticed just long enough to be remembered, so it could erase the act of being seen entirely. That's why it had no name. The moment you name it, you become part of the pattern. The pattern that is erased. Back in Jordan's apartment, the two of them connected the tablet to an isolated system. No internet, no external signals, just raw computation. They reprocessed the old orbit data. The model played. The planet moved in an irregular loop, elliptical, slow. But then something new appeared. Every few hundred years, the model glitched, reset. The planet's path broke, jumped backward, shifted. The timestamps blurred. Time itself bent. And in those exact windows, historical records across Earth's observatories went silent, coinciding with wars, plagues, data losses. Whole eras where scientific progress slowed or reversed. "I think it's not just being erased," Lena whispered. "I think it erases the time around it." Jordan leaned back, jaw clenched. "You're saying this thing deletes years?" She nodded. "No, not deletes. Compresses. Like it rewinds reality just enough that it's never found again. Until someone stumbles across it by accident. And this time, they were the accident. But the planet had noticed. Later that night, Lena's phone rang. Unknown number. She answered. No voice. Just silence. And then a soft, mechanical tone. A slow beep beep beep, like a lost satellite beacon. But it wasn't random. She recorded it. Ran a frequency analysis. It was Morse code. 2 words. No memory. And then a knock at her door. No one was there. Just a flash drive. Inside it, a video file. Security camera footage. Grainy. Low-res. It showed her, Lena, breaking into her own observatory. Deleting files. Smashing hard drives. Scratching the telescope lens with a screwdriver. But she had no memory of it. I didn't do this, she whispered. But Jordan just stared. Because in the video, her eyes weren't her own. They were black.
glassy.
like they had forgotten how to see. And in the background of the footage, just before the video cut out, through the observatory's skylight window, a dark sphere moved across the stars. They left the city before dawn. Neither spoke much. Jordan drove with one eye on the rear-view mirror. Lena stared at the flash drive in her lap like it might dissolve. It hadn't left a mark, no logo, no label, just black plastic. But somehow, it felt warm, like it remembered being used. They headed north, rural, isolated. An old observatory in the Andes, long abandoned after budget cuts, still had a working analog telescope. No network, no cameras, no one to erase what they found. Because if they were right, if the planet had infected digital systems, corrupted collective memory, infiltrated anything that tried to preserve its presence, then this was their only chance to observe it without being deleted in the process. And they had to know the truth. They arrived late that evening. The dome still stood. Inside, dust and silence. But the telescope worked.
Barely.
They pointed it at the coordinates. And waited. At first, the sky looked empty. Normal. But slowly, after an hour of motion tracking and hand-calculated drift correction, something moved across the lens. No flare. No signature. Just an absence. A hole in the sky. It wasn't black. It was less than black. It was removal. A sphere that reflected no light, emitted no heat, carried no gravitational ripple, but still moved, perfectly and impossibly, against the backdrop of the stars. Jordan muttered, "It's not even a planet." Lena didn't answer, because she knew, in that moment, what it truly was. Not a celestial body, not a moon, not an object at all, but a mechanism, a machine designed to interfere with time itself. Her theory crystallized in her mind with terrifying clarity. We catalog planets. We track stars. We believe the sky is fixed, permanent. But what if that's only because we've forgotten every time it wasn't? What if every few centuries, this thing appears, is found, is studied, and then deletes the version of reality that saw it? A clean wipe, like a failed simulation. No survivors. No memory. Just a course correction. Except this time, they remembered. She realized she'd been dreaming of it for weeks. Not just at night, but in waking moments. Flashes. Visions. Herself standing on a cliff beneath a swirling aurora, looking up at the sky as the stars rearranged themselves. Every version of her had reached this point before, and none of them made it past it. But this version, this instance of time, they had analog proof. They had seen it with glass and light, not zeros and ones. And that gave them a window. They made a plan. Lena would document everything manually, on paper, in physical drawings, with no electronic recording. Jordan would drive to an isolated university archive that kept microfiche logs. They'd cross-verify, timestamp, print, protect. It was their only chance to create a version of reality the planet couldn't erase. But then the sky changed. Just past midnight, as Lena recalibrated the scope, the stars began to shift. Not flicker. Shift. The constellations twisted like water. She blinked. The telescope image blurred, then steadied. And in the field of view, the planet was closer. She pulled away, heart pounding. No way. It was supposed to be light years out. This was impossible. She turned to call Jordan. He was gone. His chair was still warm. His bag sat open. Notes scattered. But no sign of him. She ran outside. The desert was silent. Then, above her, the stars rearranged again. She collapsed. And when she awoke, the observatory was empty. Not dusty. Not abandoned.
New.
Pristine. But with no doors. No telescope. No evidence it had ever been used. She stumbled outside. There were no roads. No signs of civilization. Only stars she didn't recognize, and no moon. She wasn't in the same version of Earth anymore, because she'd been moved. She sat down in the dust, shaking. In her pocket, the flash drive remained, still warm, the only proof left. She opened her notebook. Blank. Pages turned. All erased. except the last page. One sentence remained, scrawled in unfamiliar handwriting. You've now observed the planet longer than any previous version. It sees you. Run. She looked up, and the sky was no longer a sky. It was a lens. And from the other side, something was watching. Lena didn't know how long she sat there. Time had lost its grip. The stars no longer moved. Or maybe they moved too fast. Her body felt hollow, like her breath no longer belonged to her. But the fear remained. That meant she still existed. Somehow, this version of her had survived the initial sweep. She looked around. The observatory was gone now, just a smoothed-out slab of stone where it used to stand, as if reality had backspaced it. No rubble, no glass, just absence. The flash drive was still in her hand, and it was burning hot. It pulsed like a heartbeat. Not random, rhythmic, measured. Lena stood up, slowly. Her legs shook, but she didn't collapse. Not yet. She looked at the sky, and it looked back. The stars flickered, then aligned. Constellations twisted into a spiral. A familiar spiral. The shape of the planet's orbit. No, not orbit. Function. She now understood what it was. Not a planet. Not a world. Not a mistake. A recursive system. A planetary-scale correction engine built into the fabric of space-time. It didn't drift, it waited. Until someone saw it, measured it, tracked it. Then it initiated its function. Erased the observer. Reset the script. Not out of cruelty. Out of cosmic necessity. Because the planet was never part of our solar system. It was part of time's immune system. A black cell. A roaming, self-correcting anomaly that deleted timelines infected with too much self-awareness. Lena realized this had happened before. Every time a civilization on any planet, Earth or others, discovered too much, stepped beyond the boundaries of safe observation, this thing activated. And history ended. Not with war, not with fire, with a fold, a smoothing over, a forgetting. But now she had a chance. The flash drive. It held a residual echo. Not data, not light, but memory. She couldn't go back. The version of Earth she knew had been pruned. But she could do one thing. She could pass it on. There was an old emergency satellite beacon buried beneath the foundation stone, installed decades ago, when this land had first been scouted. It didn't connect to the internet. It used burst packets, aimed not at Earth but at deep space. For emergencies only. She dug with her hands, tearing through sand and stone until her knuckles bled. And there it was. Cracked, rusted, but intact. She connected the flash drive. It sparked. For a second, she thought it would melt, but the light held, and the uplink began. A single, compressed packet. Encrypted. Compressed. Encoded with her last remaining strength. She typed a message with shaking fingers. If you find this, don't try to find it again. It's not a planet. It's a boundary. Forget it. Let it pass. Remember only that you once survived something no one else remembers. My name was Lena Corwin. This is all I have left. She hit send. The beacon flared, and the sky shattered. The stars peeled back. Not exploded, just peeled, like the film of a screen revealing what had always been behind it. A darkness deeper than vacuum. A presence. Not evil. Not malicious. Just patient. And then it blinked. One colossal blink. And Lena was gone. Her body. Her memories. The planet. The observatory. Even the dust. All erased. All but one thing. The signal. Traveling through space now. Quietly. Slowly. Waiting for someone else to find it. And ask the question. What was this? And then, maybe, they'll see the spiral in the sky. And maybe they'll look closer. And maybe the sky will blink again.